All right, welcome back. Today we've got a truly fascinating explainer ahead of us. We are going to be unpacking a highly contemplative, really thought-provoking piece of writing called Way Degree. It was penned by Oluyomi Oladevid, and it's this beautifully structured series of insights and aphorisms, basically short, powerful statements that read almost like a modern book of Proverbs. It blends these practical mindset strategies with her deeply held spiritual convictions, and we are going to break it all down for you right now. But before we actually unpack the text itself, it is so important to understand the mind behind it. Oluyomi Oladevid is the author of these insights. And looking at her background really helps anchor this somewhat ethereal, poetic text into a very grounded reality. She isn't just writing abstract poetry in a vacuum. She's a thinker whose philosophy is directly informed by her active engagement with the world around her. Based on her profile, she is a Nigerian who is deeply concerned with global development and real-world transformation. She describes herself as someone who loves people and genuinely enjoys generating solutions, influencing policy, and just providing clarity. And this is absolutely crucial for understanding this text. Her work is entirely underpinned by her personal faith. She notes that her Father God owns and rules the universe, and she beautifully describes this relationship as the wheel within her wheels. So she's constantly blending her passion for practical solutions with this deep, guiding spirituality. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. First, we'll look at the Way Degree philosophy. Second, mindset and personal excellence. Third, endurance and meaningful action. Fourth, faith, grace, and spirituality. And fifth, cultivating a worthy degree.
Section 1. The Way Degree Philosophy.
Love is a worthy degree. I want you to just let that sink in for a second. In a world where we are, constantly chasing academic degrees, professional certifications, and all those tangible accolades to prove our worth to everyone, she completely flips the script. She frames love not merely as an emotion or some fleeting feeling, but as an ultimate qualification. It's literally a foundational credential for navigating life and interacting with the people she cares so deeply about. Moving right along to Section 2, Mindset and Personal Excellence. Now, what's really interesting about this is how this concept connects to everyday problem solving. She states, excellence is first a quality of mind. So before excellence can actually be seen in our work, or in the policy she helps influence, or the solutions we build, it has to exist internally first. It's a cognitive standard before it ever becomes a physical reality. She's really challenging us to check our own mental baselines here. Let's see how this builds, because she actually gives us a chronological roadmap for this internal growth. Step 1, desire is a seed, right? Everything starts with that initial spark of just wanting something better. But obviously, a seed needs time, which brings us to Step 2, patience will grow to maturity. You just can't rush the process. And then finally, Step 3, persistence guards a style. Once you've actually developed your mature, excellent way of operating, it is relentless persistence that protects it and sustains it over the long haul. It's just a brilliant way to visualize how internal virtues accumulate over time. Section 3, endurance and meaningful action. So she writes that ability is a well worth mining, and zeal is a priceless asset. I absolutely love the metaphor of a well here. Think about it. A well contains life-giving water, but it requires active, persistent, and honestly sometimes grueling effort to dig it and actually draw from it. She views human capacity the exact same way. We all have abilities, sure, but it has to be actively mined. And what fuels that mining? Zeal. That passionate energy is, in her words, priceless. And as we are out there mining our abilities, she offers these highly actionable insights for maneuvering through life, breaking down very specific traits and their outcomes. For instance, she values hearing as a useful tool, which really highlights the importance of active listening in what is, let's face it, a very noisy world. She notes that truth adorns an open gate, suggesting that honesty naturally creates transparency and opportunity. And finally, gratitude is a worthy voice. In her framework, saying thank you isn't just about being polite, it's a practical, incredibly powerful way to communicate and just exist in the world. Next up, Section 4, Faith, Grace, and Spirituality. And this brilliantly illustrates the duality of her thinking. On one hand, as we've already seen, she places this massive emphasis on human agency, desire, patience, excellence, the hard work of mining our abilities. But on the other hand, she balances all of that with a profound belief in divine grace and spiritual realities. She doesn't see these two sides as contradictory at all, but rather as deeply complementary. It's where human effort meets divine assistance. We can clearly see the specific elements of her faith woven throughout the text. She asserts that help has just one source. And fascinatingly, she bridges her policy work right into her spirituality by writing Legislators Seek the Most High, which implies that true governance actually requires divine wisdom. She believes heaven abides in humble spirits and that faith saves the poor. For her, faith isn't just an afterthought, it's the foundational driver that is deeply intertwined with how she views major social issues and human support.
Which brings us to one of the most striking lines in the entire piece. Grace has sufficient hands. She conceptualizes grace not as some, passive, abstract concept. Actually, scratch that. It's a completely active, capable, and working force for her. When human ability finally reaches its limit, she believes that grace is right there, fully equipped with sufficient hands to support our endeavors and carry the load.
Finally, Section 5, Cultivating a Worthy Degree. Right before she concludes, she offers this real moment of poetic magnitude. Mercy weighs the sea. I mean, what an incredible image, right? It ties her spiritual contemplations back to a real sense of global vastness. It speaks directly to human humility. The sea is massive, it's uncontrollable, it's deep, and yet, in her view, mercy is even greater, capable of literally weighing and encompassing it all. It's a beautiful reminder of our smallness in the grand scheme of things. So the crucial point is how she brings this all to a close. She writes, "Right holds a noble scepter. Obedience has a reward." After all the talk we just went through about love, patience, mining our abilities, and relying on grace, she concludes with a very firm stance on moral rightness and discipline. Doing the right thing holds real authority, a noble scepter. And obedience, staying disciplined to these virtues, ultimately leads to profound fulfillment and reward. So we've explored her entire roadmap today, from mindset all the way to grace. But I want to leave you with a question, looping all the way back to her personal biography, where she stated her faith is the wheel within her wheels. When you look at the virtues she laid out, whether it's love, excellence, persistence, truth, or gratitude, which of these is the driving force in your own life? Which of these virtues is the wheel within your wheels? Take some time to think about that, and we'll see you in the next explainer.